What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Play It Out podcast, a competitive-focused Age of Sigmar podcast. My name is Kyle, aka Creator Gator, and I'm here with a very short time frame. James, how are you doing?
I make way too many time commitments.
He's a very popular man. His schedule is full until July, so don't try to get at him. He's just doing his thing.
Don't at me. I'm just alive.
Don't at me. Today we're talking about the thing that came out today, which is
hot.
How you do magic and how you do prayers in the new edition of Age of Sigmar.
Big Frog Man.
Big Frog Man, Big Techless Man, Big Weird Orc Guy.
Yeah. Techless is, I've never run into one, but it terrifies me.
Yeah, I've also never run into them, but I am scared because I don't like, not going to lie, like I said in the last podcast, I'm a combat person. I like to do the combat. I'm not a
thinky boy.
I'm not a
hitty
magic
boy.
person.
Yeah.
Nothing in me likes to do magic.
Yes.
But let's talk about what they confirmed. So, like we thought before, they confirmed what power level means when it comes to...
Another point for the boys. We called it.
Another point for the boys. So, it is basically the number that comes right after wizard or priest. And that is the amount of spells that they can... So, wizard, spells that they can cast, unbind, and like manifestation lore that they can get rid of in a phase. It's locked to the phase. So like if you have two, you can cast a spell and then unbind a spell in case they use magical intervention. And then like in their phase it'll reset. You know what I mean?
Yes. And this is a lot cleaner than it currently sits, right? Because the rules as they currently sit, right? So I'm the kind of caster. I'm a goblin player. We've got casters. I don't have any priests.
Yep.
Hashtag goblins are atheists or whatever. We praise the moon. So essentially this cleans up the idea of like you basically forego one of your casts to get rid of an endless spell, right?
Yep.
Like that's a rule everywhere, right? But it's like if it's Kyle's turn and I'm choosing it to do it in Kyle's turn, it gets rid of one of my unbinds, right?
Yeah.
But if it's my turn, it gets rid of one of my casts, right? This like being able to like basically be like, hey, you have a magical battery of 2. You know what I mean? And you can choose to use those 2 on whatever you want, but you have 2. You know, it's nice that it's like it's all the same currency in this power system that they've created. Yeah,
that's definitely something to remember when you think of magical intervention, which is the command ability that you can use to cast a spell in the enemy's phase. So if they have a wizard that they probably want to cast in your phase, hero phase, you want to make sure that whatever wizard is within 30 inches, because they confirm that 30 inches is also the unbind, you want to make sure that one of those wizards is there and has saved one of those batteries, you know what I mean, to unbind in your hero phase. Yeah. Something you now have to think about.
Yeah, you can unbind. Yes, you now have to unbind in your own hero phase.
In your own hero phase.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you have to basically like think about how this whole hero phase works.
You're like, well, yeah, because it's like at the end, right? So you're just like, are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do anything?
Yep.
Because I'm not gonna use this unless I have to.
So speaking of unbind, let's talk about. They showed us the unbind reaction, right? So this is a ability happens in the hero phase. It's a reaction to your opponent declaring a spell ability. So again, we're talking about abilities and reactions to abilities. You use it by a friendly wizard within 30 inches of an enemy wizard casting the spell. Same as now. Don't need line of sight. You're good to go. Effect is you make an unbinding roll of 2d6. If the roll exceeds the casting roll for the spell, then the spell is unbound. It doesn't say unmodified casting roll. And its effect is not resolved. This reaction cannot be used more than once per casting roll.
Yeah.
So if they have something that lets them cast multiple spells, you can keep using this, but you can't use it.
You can't like unbind for multiple dudes on one spell.
Exactly.
Like, it's like each. You basically are like, okay, like I will now cast Mighty EADBUTT. You know what I mean? And then Kyle's like, I choose this wizard to come up to the plate to try to stop. You know?
Yeah. It has the keyword unbind, and they did say that casting rolls of a double 1 are a miscast, and the caster takes D3 mortal damage, and no more spells can be cast by that wizard in that phase. So,
same as it was.
In the same sentence, they did mention spells that have a new unlimited keyword, which means they can be cast unlimited times.
Yeah, I think the Nagash spells like that. I think that has, or it in. I don't know if it has. I'm actually going to pull this up because I'm
Yeah.
interested to see if it has the keyword or
Yeah.
it just says that it can be cast multiple times.
Uh-huh.
Because if it doesn't say it, I'm going to be like, Game Blames
That,
Workshop.
that's the exact reason that you would use that.
Remember how we talk about these keywords?
Exactly. Use them.
Please.
They showed us a wizard profile. They showed us the WEIRDNOB shaman. Overall, I'm not super impressed with his stuff. He has 6 health, 4 moves, 6 up save, 2 control. They moved his green puke from a spell to a shooting attack.
It doesn't have the keyword. Lol.
Interesting.
It doesn't have the unlimited keyword.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
So stupid.
We'll figure that out. I don't know. Whatever. When I saw that, I was like, I have no idea what that is. I don't want to talk about it until I actually see it.
It's the croak spell. Like it's like the croak spell that you can cast multiple times. Like it's like, oh, he's got 3 or 4. He's got a 4 cast wizard, right?
Yeah.
It's like you can cast 4 different spells, or you can cast his signature spell 4 times.
Yeah.
You know.
But isn't that the Nagash thing?
No, yeah, but it says it in text. It doesn't have the keyword unlimited.
All right. Someone's got to figure that out.
Boom. Points on Blame's Workshop.
Yeah. Someone's got to figure that out. And the green puke has that shoot in combat ability that we were talking about. I love it. It says exactly what it does. You can shoot it in combat.
Yep.
Easy.
I like that some of the keywords are like anti-infantry, and some keywords are like it shoots when you're next to somebody.
Yeah. This is normally the WEIRDNOB shaman is a 1 power level wizard. It does have the passive hero phase ability, which is called brutal power, and you add 1 to this unit's power level while there are any friendly Ironjawz units that have 10 or more models wholly within 12 of it. So like that, he has to hang out with a big unit of Ironjawz, and he gets 1 more cast or unbind. You know what I mean? It's kind of stinky. I have 2 of these. Yeah, I have 2 of these guys. It's not great. unless like whatever his potentially like his spell lore could save that. But
Kyle, what about the amazing spell lore?
Oh yeah, that's true. So spell lores have changed. Basically, instead of like you pick a wizard, you pick a spell that he knows. You know what I mean? And there'd be like you have 3 wizards and they know 3 different spells, right? Now you on your list, you're going to pick. I want all of my wizards to know this specific spell lore, and they're going to know this list of spells, right?
I think it's way better. It's
I like that way better
to keep
too.
Track of.
Less to keep track of, and it's like a decision that's like very, I don't know, easy. You know what I mean? I feel like there's going to be like maybe three different spell lores you're going to have in your army, and you're going to understand. All right, that's what these things do. You know what I mean? You're going to need to know all 12 of the spells. The spell that they just showed us is the Mighty Headbutt.
It's worst arcane bolt.
it's in the lore of the weird, which is pretty cool. I'm excited to see the other names. So in the declare step of this is you pick a friendly Ironjawz wizard to cast a spell. You pick a visible enemy unit within 18 of them to be the target. Make a casting roll with 2d6, and then you inflict d3 mortal damage on the target. If the target's a wizard, inflict 3 mortal damage on the target. It goes off on a 6. So it is kind of compared to what we are, and again, we're in a very magical meta right now.
Yeah.
Compared to what we're seeing right now, it kind of stinks. The other thing about the WEIRDNOB Shaman rule is he only has Destruction and Ironjawz rule. He does not have the clans.
He also has the Wizard Key rule.
Yes, well, yeah, but I'm talking like so people are speculating that Ironjawz and Cruel Boys will be split and Bone Splitters are gone. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing.
I think they kind of need it. Like it's like
Big
Wa is kind of messy. Yeah.
I'm okay with that. As someone who owns an army of Cruel Boys and an army of Ironjawz, I'm okay with them splitting that up.
Yeah.
So we talked about the Unbind, and now we get into the prayer system, which is completely different.
Oh, dude, it's so hot. I have never played with a priest. We don't have them in the army faction that I play in, but dude, it's kind of sick. Again,
we'll talk about it because there's something like they didn't show us everything for this, and that kind of has me a little peeved. Like I want to, if you're gonna tell me if the article is gonna be about it, tell me at least enough so I can shore up the bad stuff. You know what I mean?
I can paint all my priests and ready for July, whatever.
Yeah. So basically how prayers work in this edition, right? You also have to pick a prayer lore. Okay, so that's easy. When you pick a priest to cast a prayer, you roll a dice. That's your chanting roll. And then on a 2-up, 1d6. On a 2-up, your priest gains that many ritual points, which accumulate over multiple turns. So, basically, it's going to be hard to cast anything that is like a 5. You know, it's going to be impossible to cast anything that's a 7. At least on one thing, you'll have to wait. But over time, you will start building up these ritual points for these specific priests. So
unless it's like a priest 2. Like a power 2 priest or a power 4 priest.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, like it probably indicates the amount of dice that you roll or how many chanting rolls you can do.
How many chanting rolls you can do, because you can't cast or you can't chant the same prayer twice. Doesn't mean you can't chant one prayer and then chant another prayer.
Yeah, you're like charging 2 spells.
Yeah. Something that is interesting is like you're not keeping track of the ritual points. You're not keeping track of the ritual points for like the different prayers. Your priest basically holds all the ritual points. So
he's just like,
or if he's
just
chants
charging
3,
up.
Yeah, if he chants 3 prayers, you know what I mean? That's 3d6 of ritual points that he can then spend on a prayer.
He's twerking for Jesus.
He's
and he receives points associated with how good he's doing.
I love it. So let's talk about one of the prayers, and this is for Khorne, right? This is in the hero phase. You need to spend 4 ritual points to get there, and it's called Witchbane Curse. You pick a friendly Blades of Khorne priest to chant the prayer. You pick a visible enemy wizard, specifically wizard, within 18 to be the target, and then you make a chanting roll of d6. The effect is you subtract 1 for the target's power level to a minimum of 0, which is important. You can absolutely take their spells away. And
Stop doing that.
Until the end of your next turn. In addition, if the chanting roll was 8+, inflict 3 mortal damage on the target. Okay, so this is where I'm a little confused because we haven't seen the rules around how ritual points and chanting rolls work. So they say if the chanting roll is an 8+, but we know that we take chanting rolls of 1d6. So you obviously can't get an 8+. So I
think that they mudded the rules there.
There's a sentence missing, which is basically like, okay, you make your chanting rolls, you turn them into ritual points, right? You can cast this because this one is a 4, so you can roll a d6 and get 5, right? Then I assume you would then at that point choose to do the effect or bank them as ritual points.
Mm-hmm. Do I want to bank or keep twerking for more?
Do I want to get my payoff now, or do I want to get 1 marshmallow now or 2 marshmallows later? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the thing that I was like, it took me all morning because I was sitting there reading this and like talking with people, and I'm like, there's nothing in this article that tells me when they become ritual points and when I spend them. You know what I mean?
The mechanics of the new system sounds awesome. Right, like
yes.
I'm super excited for it because it doesn't seem like worse spells. Like
yes.
I feel like, and again, this is coming from a guy that doesn't use priests, but I just feel like prayers in the current edition feel like squished spells. You know what I mean? Like it's like not as like impactful. There's less game interactions with them. You know what I mean? There's less people that have them. And it's like, this one is like, oh, this is cool because it's a completely different power system. You know what I mean? I shouldn't say power system. This is a completely different like engagement / play system than the spell casting role where it's like all at the same time. This one's like a builder spender. So it's like, oh, like you can risk like storing your good boy points for later. But if you do, then you're like, oh, like somebody can kill that guy.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. You could spend all game building them up and then someone kills them and they're gone.
Exactly. And that's how noble deed points work now with flesh eater courts. And I honestly think that's probably what, kind of led to this. They're capped at 6, but like it's one of those things that like they can do like the recursion abilities. They can give like pluses to rend, pluses to charge by like spending these things. And these guys I'm assuming are going to be kind of like a similar system where it's like, hey, like you have like these prayers or like your guy has access to like these 3 or 4 prayers that you can basically like start building points so that like when, rubber meets road and like your hammer isn't something that you want to hit, you can hit the button and then like buff them to the 9s,
Something that I think is going to be very, very important when it comes to the prayer lores for how the system works is you're going to need something that is like a cast like chant it at the target being a friendly unit, because how you get these you make these chanting rolls and score up your good boy points, right? If this is your only like prayer that you have to be within 18 inches of a wizard to get the good boy points. That's the only way you can get them, right? So there has to be a prayer,
actual like Witchbane curse you're talking
the
about.
Witchbane curse, yeah, specifically. Yes. So there has to be, so in the blood blessing of Khorne, right? There has to be some blessing that is like you cast it on a friendly unit wholly within 12, right?
Yeah.
That way you can start getting your you can start rolling those chanting rolls of D6 and start building up your good boy points.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So like if they're all targets of enemies, you better hope that you're within range of that on turn 1. Otherwise you're not going to be building that up.
Yeah, it is weird that they basically like planted the chanting roll inside of the individual spells.
I'm okay with it. It just, with everyone knowing the lore, you need one thing that you can start accumulating that turn 1. Otherwise, like you need like, a bless, a just regular bless, or there might be a core one, that everyone knows. And it's just like, that's how you start building your good boy points,
Yeah. I feel like this, like, and I'm not like projecting, I'm not trying to project criticism on like how they're writing, but I'm just trying to kind of like infer based on what we're seeing here. Yeah. It almost seems like the graphic that we have for the spell was written at a time that like this new like point buying system wasn't 100% like sussed out yet. You know what I mean? Because like in the text, it says roll a 2+, your priest gains that many ritual points like after you hit your 2+, right?
Yep.
And then in the text, in the declare step of the specific spell, it says pick a friendly Blades of Khorne priest to chant this prayer and pick a visible enemy within 18 inches of that target, and then you make a chanting roll. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I'm not making a chanting roll
every turn.
Well, it's also like I don't have to put it in that bucket. You know what I mean? I don't have to start putting my like I chant as a priest to get my good boy points to put them like I get to choose a bucket they go in after I'm done with them. You know what I mean? Like I don't like pick a bucket and then I start doing my little dance to get my good boy points and they go into the bucket to like spend for later, because that's a big power discrepancy, right? Is like if I'm a wizard or I'm like whatever, like exactly your situation. Like if I can't cast this until they're within 18 inches, like I can't be like doing my dance in my own little zone. You know what I mean? To just like charge me up like a battery, like turn 1, I can't do anything. You know?
There's got to be a little charger, whether it's a core prayer that everyone knows that's just like bless that you're just gonna like cast by, but then that's only one. So like
if you're a 2 or 3 chant, but it's I'm confused and I don't know if it's in this article or not. Where you're storing your points is important, and I'm seeing it kind of like it's stored in 2 ways, and that's confusing the heck out of me.
I don't know how you go from your chanting roll to your
specifics,
your prayer. RP, your ritual points. You know what I mean? Like when is the point that you have to choose to spend it? Also, like again, I'm assuming it costs 4. If I have 7, I spend 4 and I retain 3. Like there's a lot of like makes common sense thing that we're inferring from this article, but they're not telling us it. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that like frustrated me. Also, they say like you need your chanting roll to be 8+.
Yeah, which is not true. That you can't have any unless you have like pluses to chant.
Unless there's like a certain thing where you can take your ritual points and then add them to your chanting roll.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Again,
I don't know. Then that's the thing that we're missing.
We got like this isn't like a lot of the other articles. We talked about this in the last podcast. A lot of the other articles are like fully fleshed out. Like, hey, this is how like the new system works, and then these are like the different commands, abilities, whatever that happen in those phases. Right. This one is very much like the wizard one seems very fleshed out. The priest one is like, hey, here's this whole new system, right? But we're gonna just give you a preview. You know what I mean? Like, and we have a lot of questions because like this new system's really interesting, but like the minutia of how it actually works is going to be something that like,
we're missing like, a couple paragraphs, and like we're missing the ability, like the breakdown of how you do a prayer. You know what I mean? I understand this specific prayer, you know what I mean? But I want to know the details about how you go from chanting rolls to ritual points, and then like that kind of stuff, because it's important. Speaking of ritual points, if you roll a 1 on your chanting roll, you don't take any damage like it is now, but you do lose D3 ritual points. And I think that ties into how the chanting roll works, because like in order to spend your ritual points on Witchbane Curse, like say you have 7 or say you have 8, right? You can't just walk up and be like, all right, I'm going to spend my 8 over here. You have to make a chanting roll first. And that means you could potentially roll a 1, lose D3, and be below the thing that and so you no longer can.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I think that's how they're wording it, is because you wouldn't, like in this case, you would just avoid chanting and just say, I'm going to spend my points to like basically chant this prayer. So in this way, you have to potentially gain ritual points or lose ritual points if you roll a 1.
Yeah, I'm interested by this. Like, it's a cool new system. I'm really glad that they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just interested to, like, I need more. You got to give me more. Give me less of the toppings. Give me more of the meat.
Yeah, we're missing 2 paragraphs.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Slaughterpriest, because they gave us another war scroll.
Yeah.
Specifically, the blood sacrifice. So
something they already do.
Yep.
I don't know if it's exactly this wording, but it's basically you just like pick a friendly unit. A lot of people take like these like chaff units to sit next to them just to get blood type points.
Yeah. So you pick a friendly unit within this unit's combat range to be the target, roll a D3, and on a 2-up, you inflict the amount of mortal damage to the target equal to the roll, so it's a D3, and you gain 1 blood type point. Interesting point. They're talking about blood type points. They haven't confirmed that blood type points are going to be one of the battle traits, but one of my big questions was, are these abilities going to be referencing battle traits that they're going to be getting in the index? You know what I mean? And if that's if that's true, then this war scroll will have to be updated when it gets a book, which is typical, right?
Yeah.
But now the rule is going to have to be written if blood type points change from the index to the codex, basically, the battle tome. And it can, the other passive effect that it has is it can unbind abilities as if it was a wizard 1,
which is nice because they don't have a lot of wizards in their book. They need some way to unbind stuff.
Yeah, that's where all their anti-magic stuff comes in. The blood-bathed weapon, the weapon that it has 4 attacks, 3 threes, -1/2 damage. Not nothing, but not something.
Yeah, it's a corn caster. They also kind of hit. It
also has, so it's a priest 1. And it's gore chosen, so it's going to be in that bucket of you can take heroes with other heroes kind of situation. Now, walk me through. Have you looked at
manifestation lore?
Manifestation lores. Can you walk me through that?
Yeah, a little bit. They basically took invocations and endless spells and just put them together and like in a manifestation lore.
Okay.
My confusion, right, is there's this paragraph here that talks about like malign sorcery, forbidden power, and like how they're going to separate out the lores. Because I basically think that like my confusion, right, is like, so endless spells and invocations no longer cost like points, right?
Which is something they talked about here, which is scary.
They're just a lore, which is like, I think that's really, really strong because now you have access to not only one spell, but you can choose like one wizard that knows like manifestation lore, like he's a summoner wizard or whatever it is.
Yeah,
and like,
it's not gonna be. It's gonna be on your army sheet.
Yeah, and
something that they haven't confirmed is if you can you take regular spell lores and manifestation lores?
Yeah,
I hope not.
I don't think so. I think that you pick. I think it's like one of those things that you have a guy that like your thing is you conjure endless spells. You know what I mean? From a specific bucket. Like you pick a bucket that has like 3 or 4. And like you can conjure those, you know, or it's like there's like 4 Gits ones, and it's like I can conjure the Gits ones. You know what I mean?
Speaking of the manifestation lore, they're grouping them together. So the ones that we know, they're putting into buckets. So we have kind of like a death focused bucket, and that's going to include. The name of it is the Morbid Conjuration Manifestation Lore, which is fun, and it has Purple Sun, Suffocating Gravetide, Malevolent Maelstrom, and Soul Snare Shackles.
Yeah, now, it seems like that's the best one. It seems like
that's pretty hype.
Yeah, I mean, Gravetide and Purple Sun, pretty hype. Maelstrom got nerfed like 3 times.
Yeah, I do think that they're gonna basically say, "Hey, these are your only spells," which is kind of crazy because I feel like most factions like spells.
Yeah,
like their specific spells.
Well, I think you have a guy that like that's their role. Like essentially, like I would bring like a little like shaman guy.
But I'm telling you, if you have that, then Scragrot can't cast spells from his spell lore.
Well, he won't. So what I'm saying is like, then this is me thinking like of how I would include them in my army, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is I'm not going to give Scragrot the manifestation lore. I'm going to give Scragrot his lore because it's good, right?
You're not understanding this. This is on your list.
Yeah.
It's not on your wizard.
I'm confused.
So the lore, how the spell lore works, right?
I thought it was your wizard picked a lore book essentially to learn from.
Nope. It is your army takes a spell lore. So it says spell lores have changed in this new edition and are selected as part of constructing your army. Mm-hmm. Pick a single spell lore, and every sorcerer in your army can attempt to cast any spell from that lore.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's actually really cool. I like.
Again, they don't confirm if the manifestation lore and spell lores are in separate categories. So maybe you can take one of each. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can, because like Stormcast, maybe you can take one spell lore, one manifestation lore, and one prayer lore.
Kyle, you keep me honest, dude. You like I read that and I'm like, my brain immediately went to like when I go into like they're eliminating I go in and pick one spell. I just go in and pick a lore.
No,
it's your army is like, okay,
your army picks the lore.
Like you're this faction, this sub faction, this lore. You know what I mean? Like, and that's like the overarching, which I think is cool. It's just one of those things that it's like, does the lore, like the manifestation lore, is that so important? Like that output so important that you forego everything else?
Again, this article doesn't give us a whole lot of answers. It introduces a lot of topics, but it doesn't give us a whole lot of answers. So that's the big thing that's a question is, okay, so they don't cost points. It's just a different lore that you choose. Or can you choose? I think it would be I would hate it, honestly, if they said, okay, yeah, you get a manifestation lore, a spell lore, and a prayer lore. Yeah. Because I don't want to buy all those. Stupid. Yeah, I don't want to buy all those endless spells. I think this is low-key kind of their way of walking endless spells out of the edition. Yeah. But if you already have them, you can still play with them.
Yeah.
And then if they want to
use, because you're using them in groups.
Yeah. And it's not like, I mean, everybody was fine with proxies for them anyway, but you ideally, if you're a player of this, you would have one model of each one, so you could potentially this dropped in points, now it's 10 points and fits exactly my list, and now I'm taking this whatever spell.
I will say that it's tough though as proxies, because a lot of times they're like from model, and it's like when you're going from model and it's like Scuttletide or Suffocating Gravetide, like there's nothing that size, you know what I mean? Like it's only that model, so it's like people are, again, forgiving. Like, you can do whatever you want. Like, I'm just saying, like, it's tough. Like, when you have, like, a 40 mil base, it's real easy to, like, 3D print or buy a 30 mil or 40 mil base, right? Yeah. But, like, for me to play with Suffocating Gravetide, like, I kind of need that model, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think they're very easy to buy.
No, I have to, like, dive through eBay. I got a Scuttletide, like, because I was playing with, like, a fake Scuttletide. For a while because I couldn't find one, and then I found it on eBay. I bought it, and it was like twice the size of my one, and I'm like, I've been like, it would have been so much better.
I think this is kind of their way of walking endless spells as we know them out of the game. You know what I mean? Basically saying you're only going to take this if you already have them, and then eventually they'll probably like say all the endless spells are getting like remade, and we're going to box them in a box, and it's like that's your endless spell box, and that's what you get.
I feel like
gonna be two, or you're gonna buy a box with the lore, the manifestation lore.
Yeah, or like it's like that, like it's the death one. You know what I mean? You get all four of those.
You get all four of those.
It's the best way to do it.
Yeah. You also you couldn't take, so like you can't take your faction manifestation lore and Suffocating Gravetide.
Yeah, you take choose. Your your faction, or like that's one of the books that you grab. Yeah.
So let's talk about how we get rid of these things, since we hate them so much.
I did kind of talk about this at the beginning. So it's like, it's similar to an unbinding roll, right? Yep. In the fact that it takes one of your power points. You can do it like, again, now you can unbind in your phase and my phase. But like, it takes a power point, 30-inch range, right?
In your hero phase.
It's 2d6 instead of 1d6, right? Because it's for... which it now confirms that like invocations are going to have a 2d6 value instead of a 1d6 value. Like it's not no longer like a prayer. It's more like everything's a spell.
Yeah.
The important caveat is to unbind something, you have to beat the roll. To banish something, it beats it. You know what I mean? So
Is that how it was?
No, yes, that's how it is now. So it's basically like you have to basically, instead of like if it's a 7, right? You have to roll over a 7 to unbind it, but you have to roll a 7 to banish it. You know,
Yep.
so it's easier to get rid of once it's already there.
Yep. Yeah. So you roll 2d6 for your banishment roll, and if this one, the banishment equals or exceeds the banishment value on the manifestation scroll, war scroll. So it doesn't matter what they cast it with.
No,
you know what I mean? But
it's the
you're
value.
looking at for that value.
Yes,
which is cool because the priest like manifestations are probably going to be work with their priest system. You know what I mean? So you have a manifestation that you like build up, cast. So
I actually don't think that's how it's going to work.
Really?
I think it's going to be a 2d6 because it's a 2d6 to get rid of it. You know. I mean, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I feel like they're all going to be spells, but it's just going to cost like priests can do the invocation. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work. Again, we need more information on one, priests and how it actually works, and 2, spell like how the invocation, like how those manifestation lores look. Like we don't have a scroll for a manifestation lore right now because like let's say like because you could basically be charging you're gonna be banging your drum, charging your good boy points all day long, and then just walk up and be like, hey, purple sun, bye. Or hey, not purple sun, but like whatever the invocation is,
the bloody skulls or whatever. You know what I mean? I do think that I will make the hot take and say that I think that is how those kind of like endless prayers or whatever invocations will work. Just because then it fits,
but then unbinding. I guess you're right because then unbinding them is controlled by the value that it takes. You know what I mean? Like
they can just put a value on it and then it's good. So that's kind of nice. It's interesting, and like some other people that I've talked to today has kind of talked about how this kind of ebbs and flows, that whole system. I'm not the person to ask about the spells and invocations. I have them. I have the Stormcast one, so I'm glad they're not getting rid of them, so I can actually use the models that I haven't painted yet. You know what I mean? But it's definitely going to be an interesting system.
Yeah.
That is mostly it. I've looked through my notes. I think we've covered everything. I'm very interested that they actually called out Blood Tithe by its name, confirming that it is in the game, and I'm going to have to understand how that works, which is a pain.
It's just like a chaos builder system. Every flavor of chaos has a builder system.
I know, but I don't. I like builder systems conceptually. I don't like them because now I have to understand. I have to look over and be like, oh, you have 6 blood type points. And now I have to think about what are all the options that you can do with those blood type points, and how do I play intelligently into that?
Yes.
Well, it makes it more difficult because then I have to learn a whole chart and not just like, if I charge on a 3-up, I can fight.
Maybe they get rid of the chart.
Maybe. I don't know. I have no idea what you do with the blood type points.
Yeah.
In general. Maybe they're just like, you can just pay
summon
for things.
stuff, you can buff stuff. Like, there's like right now there's a lot of stuff you can do with them. It's similar to like celestial power points for like Thinky Seraphon or like Brain Seraphon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is mostly it for this article. Again, they introduced a lot of stuff, but they didn't talk about they didn't give us like
talk about it in totality. Yeah.
In totality. So like we can't make like actual great decisions. I want to know. Again, I want to see the thing that tells me how I turn a casting roll into ritual points.
Yeah,
because I'm
like a chanting roll.
Yeah, a chanting roll. Yeah, sorry. So I feel like I know how it works, but I don't have confirmation. And I'm like,
we need more. We need more. Yeah. The one thing I will say before we go.
Okay.
Monday.
That's right.
Battle plans, or we're learning a little bit about battle plans, General's Handbook, battle tactics.
Oh my gosh, I'm scared of everything. So they said they're revealing a new miniature and talking about all that stuff. So maybe that stuff is happening later in the week and they just reveal the new miniature on Monday. Maybe we get both on Monday. I don't know. The way it's worded, rules is written, they're saying that they're releasing all that on Monday. So
I'll file a report with the FEC or the FCC if we don't get all 3 on Monday.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll probably get some rats, I would assume, because we got some reclusians.
I get like a rat ogre. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Another rat that's in the box. Yeah. But I am so excited about battle plans, General Handbook, and battle tactics, because that is the biggest thing I care about. Us as GHB primarily players, that's the thing that we care about.
Competitive, you know what I mean? Boy.
Competitive focus podcast.
Advanced play.
Something.
Yeah.
I won't go as far as say to advanced.
No. That they literally call it advanced,
I know.
like in their like
I know.
chart.
Yeah. Listen, they can call it whatever they want. I'm telling you, my brain, it's not that advanced.
Advanced.
My brain is not capable of advanced. So it is what it is. Is there anything else that you want to talk about when it comes to spells and prayers that we have seen?
Nah, I'm good. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I think I'm glad they introduced I think the prayer system, has they changed it. I like that better than just casting one dice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That felt so bad. I've rolled so many ones on translocation.
Yeah, it feels way worse. It's because there's less numbers. You know what I mean?
Like this at least gets it away where at one point in time you will cast a guaranteed one.
And it's a little funnier when you roll 2 ones. It's a little less depressing.
Well, you're still rolling 1 dice.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, but at least you can build it up and then spend it later.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And the 1 doesn't hurt you. It just makes it so you lose points. But all right, cool. I like it. I'm super excited for Monday. I can't wait to talk about that stuff. But I'm glad that they showed us this stuff as it is.
Yep.
So, all right. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. We appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys later.
Catch you next time.